But our CFL playoff analyst, Shawn Lemon, the Lemonator, joins us on the video chat this morning. There he is, looking lemon fresh today. How you doing, Shawn?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Well, I'm doing great. You and I picked the same teams.
Showed up today.
Hey.
We did okay, Shawn.
Already the barbs. Yo, hey, sounds like you made the most of it without me, Shawn. 1-1 in playoff predictions on the weekend. How did you feel about those games and how you did picking them?
I was a little upset with the first one because if I would have known DeVere Posey and Chris Matthews wasn't going to play, I wouldn't have went with the Montreal Alouettes last week.
And how about well, you called Winnipeg to win. Why was that? And did it go the way you thought that it would?
I went a little shaky at first when Calgary got the lead early because I feel like Winnipeg was trying to, be something that they weren't. And they didn't stick to the run game. Once they committed to the run game, I knew that they would have a lot of success.
By the way, you threw a barb at me already, so here's one from one of our viewers. Those are awesome PJs you're wearing, Shawn.
No, this is not a PJ. this is a nice button-up shirt. Wanted to keep my little shirt thing going. I didn't have another lemon shirt to wear, so I decided to wear this.
Just throwing some barbs at you this morning. It's beautiful. You look fantastic. Hey, how much are you enjoying this quarterback talk and scenario going into the West Final this weekend here, Collaros versus Fajardo? I mean, it just seems like the whole game story begins and ends with those two.
With Collaros, I feel like it's I think if I'm Winnipeg, you're just sitting in a good situation because you showed so much on film last week. So now, as the defensive coordinator of Saskatchewan, you got a game plan for so much stuff. If Winnipeg comes out and just plays a simple game, I think they'll have a lot of success.
Is it an insult to the others on the field, however, that there is so much attention paid to the quarterback, or is that why these guys are paid so much, that it will come down to the health of Cody? Actually, probably the health of both guys. Is it an insult that there's too much focus on the quarterbacks in this game?
No, man, that's the league, man. CFL is a quarterback-driven league. You need a quarterback to be successful. Both guys have shown that, they're the heart and soul of their team as far as when they're on the field, their team's at their best. So I think they're getting the respect that they deserve.
You're a D-line guy. Bob, so I'm going to ask you, who's got the edge there? Because the Bombers got Jeff Coat back. Willie's been playing all year. We've seen him win games on his own. And the Riders have their guys, Charleston Hughes, A.C. Leonard, Zach Evans, and so forth. Who's got the edge in D-line in this battle?
Oh, it's a close one, but I'm going to have to say that Saskatchewan Roughriders front seven in general, not just their D-line, but their linebackers, I feel like they have the best front seven in this game.
Shawn, I've always felt that football is kind of the one sport that the crowd and the noise can make an absolute impact in the game if it reaches a fever pitch. In hockey and baseball, plays aren't called because of fans, but in football, if the quarterback can't articulate an audible to the players because they can't hear, that would make a huge difference. As a player, did you find it to be a real challenge playing in crazy loud stadiums, and how much of a factor in your mind does it make when it is at that extreme level?
I mean, I like it personally because as a defensive lineman, you're playing in a loud stadium. Quarterbacks most of the time are never going to go on two, so you can get a jump on the snap count. And, also it could be the gift and the curse because it can motivate the other defensive linemen and the other team to, want to make plays to shut the crowd up. So it's kind of a gift and a curse. It'll be interesting to tell, the first 5-10 minutes of the game in the first quarter to, see what type of game we're going to be facing.
Well, actually, it's a good question by Kelly. I mean, Shawn, you're a Grey Cup champion. I'm sure you've played semifinal weekend?
Two-time.
Yeah, two-time. Calgary and Ottawa. Yeah, sorry. Thanks for clarifying.
No problem. I always will,
How are you on home field advantage and its importance?
It's a lot of pressure. Playing in Calgary, we really had a huge home field advantage playing in our home games. Playing in Toronto, I feel like, we didn't have much of a home field advantage. We played you guys in the East Final, I think it was 2017, and I looked around the stadium and I saw more green than I saw Toronto fans. So, it all really doesn't matter. You just got to come in and focus on the game. And, football is football. If you need any extra motivation for a conference finals game, you're probably playing the wrong sport.
Actually, you're right about that East Final, but it was a hell of a football game, right? It went right down to the wire. But, you mentioned Calgary. When I talked to their guys right after the game, the couple days after, they were still so stunned. They had no explanation as to what happened against Winnipeg. You watched the game. How did they lose that game? Because that was not the Stamps that we know.
I mean, I love Bo as a person, but I feel like he messed up the day before when TSN asked him, you guys really don't have a run game established. How do you feel about it? Even if it's up to me, I want to pass the ball 100% of the time. That right there tells the mindset of that team. They have a coach who's a quarterback in Dave Dickinson. So, I feel like that Calgary has grown to become more of a pass-heavy team than back in the John Cornish days, when Bo just started playing quarterback, when we had a really good defense, a really good run game, and Bo didn't need to come in and be Superman. So, I just feel like now they pass the ball way too much. They need to find their identity more running the ball.
Hardly any time's been spent on this program anyways on the East Final, and there should be more. So Edmonton at Hamilton. What's your take on that game? I got a few questions for you on it, but just overall, what are you going to be looking for?
I want to be looking at the defense of Hamilton. If Hamilton can come out and, take away that, the RPO action that, Trevor Harris loves so much. And, just watching it against Montreal, I'm yelling at the TV like, Montreal, he's running the same play. Take away the post coming across the middle, and Trevor will have a chance to hold the ball. So they can come out and take away that RPO action with that GG route that Trevor loves since he's been playing in Ottawa. That's always been his go-to route. So if they can take away that route, the defense can fly around like they always do. With Simone Lawrence and those guys, I think they can get it done.
Well, the Ticats are favored by 4. That's a pretty slim margin for an Edmonton team coming in at 8-10. Traveling across the country. I'm getting asked this question. I'll put it to you: does Edmonton have a chance to win the game? And if so, what do they got to do?
They have a chance to win the game, but I don't think they will be able to win the game. Tommy Condell's done an amazing job with that offense. Like I said earlier, he's shown so much on film, and you only have a few days, 3 to 4 days to game plan, for an offense who's so dynamic. And then they add Terrell Sutton, who's one of the best running backs in the league, in my opinion. So you just never know what you're going to get. I feel like that Hamilton, is going to pull this one off by more than 4 points.
So you got Hamilton to win there, and I don't think I got a pick from you for this one here in Saskatchewan. What do you got between Riders and Bombers?
Oh, man, my boys in Sask, Charleston, Solly, and Manny, they're going to be upset with me about this one, but I'm going with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers again this week.
Whoa.
Wow. Whoa. Boom. I got the Riders to win, by the way, but they are favored by 4. Yeah, well, of course I. Yeah, what am I?
I say this. Think about this, man. Who was the last team to show up in that stadium and send the Riders home?
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
And I feel like they have the DNA for it. You got to think about it from a Winnipeg's perspective. They've had so many veterans. They just made a mid-season trade to get Zach Caleros in. Their coach is on the last year of his contract there. Those guys know that if it doesn't happen this year, the whole thing's getting blown up. So I feel like that brings something extra to it. You know what I mean? And they've been so close for so many years. I feel like this is the year where they're going to, make it to the Grey Cup.
I love the analysis. I love it all. You know that I'm a big fan of yours. I got to ask you, how are you liking the media thing, by the way? I know TSN likes you a lot. Is this something, I know you want to play probably for a long time, but is this something you might consider full-time?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Something that I like doing. I'm going to be doing some work with TSN during the Grey Cup week coming up this week. I really enjoy it, man, because I feel like myself, I have a very different aspect as far as being able to break down the game from some different aspects, man. I definitely really enjoy it. Just something I'm just setting myself up for life after football.
Well, what's hilarious is Tori Gurley told me when he was trashing the Argos earlier this year that you texted him and got in his grill about his assessment of the Argos.
Who's that? Repeat that?
Tori Gurley told me that you got in his grill about his assessment of the Argos this year and how the team's quit. Now
Tori's my guy, man. I got in Tori's grill about South Carolina losing to Appalachian State as well. Did he tell you that?
No, you didn't tell me that part.
South Carolina, they might as well join the MAC conference.
Well, yeah, well, he's struggling with it with all of them. I think he loves the Gamecocks more than anybody else. But now you're seeing how being critical does ruffle a few feathers.
It does ruffle a lot of feathers. I know I'm going to get a lot of phone calls today when Manny and Solly, when they get out of practice and see that I picked the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But like I said, man, I'm giving the edge to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this week.
All right, Shawn, great stuff, my man. We'll chat with you next week for Grey Cup. We'll talk about the combatants.
Most definitely. I'll talk to you then. Thanks, guys.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.